Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
Doing well. I didn't feel well earlier today, but since we started talking and we got this thing ready to roll, I'm feeling much better.
That's what I like to hear. I like
How
to
are
hear
you?
that you're feeling better. I'm always, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
Very nice. You got some, you went to the dentist today, did you not?
Bub, I did go to the dentist today.
How was your
Had
experience?
So I don't know how much I've talked about the dentist on this podcast before. I feel like we've talked about it before.
A little
I
bit, yeah.
enjoy going to the dentist. I have an awesome dentist. The whole team there, I'll tell you what, teamwork makes the dream work. And these people have got a team down. They got the earpieces with the microphones and they're clipping, it's like CIA stuff going from room to room, telling people, yeah, topical on 5, be ready in 3, boom. Just threw in the fluoride, ready for a dental check in 2, and they're boom, boom, boom. It's Secret Service type stuff. So, and I like to make fun of the fact that they walk around like they're Secret Service. So they like me, right? They're all young, nice people, and they get a good joke. They're not stuck up and stiff, which is fun. My dentist is, I think, a year younger than me or 2 years younger than me. So
Wow.
we're on the same way. She actually might be like 8 years younger than me. But anyway, I feel like I'm that young. So we're all on the same wavelength, have a lot of fun. And I have an issue. So I had 3 or 4 hairline fractures on one of these back teeth back here. It was about to break off.
Is that from when I punched you in the jaw that one time?
It was.
Sorry, man.
It was the elbow. We had backyard game, backyard basketball. In the Roop family, between the Schmidts, the Witts, and the Edwards, can get a little rough.
Well, especially because we were playing 21.
And when you play 21, there's no fouls the way we used to play. And if you were nice, you let the other guy have the ball back when you beat the crap out of him. But for the most part, depending on which Edwards was playing, there were no fouls.
Prison rules.
Prison rules. That being said, finally went to go get that thing fixed. They said they wanted to put a crown on it. They make the crown right there. Normally you go in, they chisel it down, give you a fake one. You come back like a week later, get the real one. No, I was there for 2.5 hours.
Ooh.
They make the crown with like a 3D printer, fit it in your mouth, and then put it in an oven for another 20 minutes, and then put it in there for good. Dude, I was at that dentist for 2.5 hours. I got there at 2:30. They brought me in probably about 2:40 because you got to sit in the car. And I got out of there just under 5 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah. So that being said, my mouth about 2 hours ago, I got the other half of my face. But the problem is every time I get the Novocaine, right? So get the shot of Novocaine. I don't know what it is, man, but I feel everything. Not everything, but I feel it. Like, she comes back in 5 minutes later. She's like, "Hey, you good? Can you feel on this side? Does it feel the same on this side?" Like, it feels exactly the same. Can you feel your tongue? Every single bit of my tongue I can feel, yes. And she goes, "What about your cheek?" I said, "Well, the very far back of my cheek, no, but the rest of the cheek, yes." She's like, I had to get 5 shots of Novocaine for 1 tooth.
Whoa.
5 shots of Novocaine. So, yeah, the thing is I just don't think they let it sit long enough. They want to get right on top of you. Like, hold on, if y'all just chill, because I couldn't feel the side of my face literally for the next 3.5 hours. Actually, 4.5 hours. Wow. From the time she shot it. My face was gone. I had no left side of my face.
You have like Novocaine antibodies or something like that. Like,
I don't know. She said
your body fights off Novocaine.
So she said two things that I was laughing about. So we all have a little conversation because I got to sit there and wait for my tooth to bake in the oven or whatever it did. So
350 for 47 to 49 minutes.
47 to 49. So, those are great minutes, by the way. Every direction I have from now on, when I write a recipe out, I'm writing, instead of 30 to 35, I'm doing 27 to 30 to 39 minutes or something like that. Anyway, that being said, sitting there and I was like, what's up with that? And she's like, listen, some people just, they say that it's a metabolism thing. If you got high metabolism, like, well, if I had high metabolism, old daddy wouldn't have this gut that he's got right now. And then she says, another thing, redheads. They have to reshoot up redheads in the middle of an operation because they just don't take Novocaine.
Really?
She said, I didn't think it was true. But then I became, the dentist and started doing this stuff, and redheads, she's like, I don't know what it is, but they just suck that Novocaine up and it's like nothing ever happened.
Very interesting.
Yeah. How about them? How about that?
Wow, man. You're new. People say a lot of things about gingers, but I'll tell you, I've never heard that one before.
Can I tell you how hard it was for me not to say the word ginger when I was in the doctor's office today and she was talking about redheads?
Is that bad? Is that a bad thing?
Oh, I have no idea, but I make a lot of jokes and I say a lot of things while I'm in the dentist's office, but I do everything I can not to get I don't want to get, I don't know what the word is. I don't know. I say, yeah, I don't want to get canceled. There you go. Exactly. I say funny PG stuff. I don't know where ginger falls in that nature. I don't know if ginger is I know they're not a race, but is that being prejudiced against a hair color? So I don't want to be prejudiced either, but ginger is kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it's not wrong. I just watched. Whiskey Ginger is a podcast that I watch sometimes. I just watched an episode of that today. It's Andrew Santino is a comedian. He's a redheaded comedian. It's his own podcast. That's what he named it.
Yeah, but you can say it about yourself, man. Hey, listen, you know how that works. You can say it about yourself, right? Like towheads. I don't know. Are you allowed to call a little blonde head kid a towhead? I don't know. I feel like if I'm
is that what you said?
You ain't never heard that?
Towhead?
Towhead.
I've never heard that, I don't think.
I was a towhead when I was a kid. Your brother, Joey, was a towhead.
Just
I don't think you
kids?
were. Just little blonde-haired kids, yeah.
Huh.
No idea where it came from.
Been living under a rock or something.
Yeah, a little towhead. Yeah, I was a little toe. I don't know. I feel like because I was a towhead, I can say I can call other people towheads.
That's weird. Why toe? I don't know. I don't know if I understand that one.
I gotta tell you, bro, I have zero idea. I feel like I've looked this up before about towheads and couldn't find out why they call them that. But I call my son a towhead every opportunity I get. When I'm describing him to people, I'm like, yeah, little towhead said this to me. You believe he said that? And I just say it just because I love to say the word towhead. Yeah, little towhead. You believe he said that?
I gotta listen out for that. I maybe I have to Google it or check hashtag towhead on Twitter or something and see if it's a bad thing.
Well, if you want to go on Twitter and you want to talk and you want to look up something about a guy who's not a towhead, we should go into our first segment of the day and talk about Mr. Kyrie Irving. Well, first off, he wasn't going to talk to the media at all this year, which we all realized didn't happen. And then, the mask thing. I got to tell you something. My son, the towhead, has a pair of Kyrie's, right? This is his third pair of Kyrie Irving shoes. I love this dude's shoes. I said it before. I think he's the most clutch shooter in the game. I think if you give that man the ball at the end of the game, I'd give it to him over anyone in the NBA. I've said it a million times. But when this dude gets on the mic, some stuff that comes out of his mouth, holy cow. I don't know what to think. That being said, flat earth and all, he had a comment the other day that was more than insightful or make you think. I don't know what the word is, but it really make you think.
Oh, was that my cue?
Now I was just stopping to say, oh, what does Adam think? Sorry,
Sorry.
what do you
No,
think?
I'm sorry. I yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I want to be careful because I don't want to feel like I'm piling on Kyrie here. And he said a lot about his idea, and well, we should just listen to it and then we can talk about it.
Let's listen to it and then we'll talk about it. So as Adam, oh, that was quick. Ooh, started to share the screen
Mm,
and he's moving the
oh,
mouse around and play.
The example that has been set by that man. He's 17 years old. We're drafting guys even younger now, guys that are coming out of different places, and he was the standard for our generation, and he will continue on. And I want that to be something in history that is changed forever. That our generation was part of that change, and if that means that I have to lead that forward and get the conversation going, then great. But I think he deserves it. I think his family deserves it. I think we deserve it as seeing greatness personified as Mamba.
so he's talking about this
It was,
is
it was a little soft,
yeah.
but if you couldn't pick it up, go ahead, tell us what it was about.
No, it was just Kyrie basically having the idea that he wants to see the NBA logo changed to Kobe. Not a specific picture or anything, but make the NBA logo a silhouette of Kobe from whatever picture you find that seems to be the best one. He thinks it should be Kobe, and for those reasons that he just said. So basically, he's saying what he stood for, and he had a little bit extra to say before that clip we played, and then went on a little after too, and it was a lot of it was about uh, so many young black players in the league, or kids growing up that are starting with his generation specifically, that Kobe was kind of the guy that they looked after for. I'm not saying it nearly as well as he is, but hopefully you heard the clip. But he's saying like this is the guy that we looked up to because how he carried himself, how he thought the game through, what he how he uh, just what he represented, is something that he wants that to be the model.
He wants that to be the logo, which we all know Jerry West is the logo, a picture of Jerry West, you know, coming off a screen or turning a corner, doing whatever he's doing with dribbling basketball. That's the NBA logo. Okay, so I believe this is going to be a generational thing for as long as we all shall live. From Jerry West, there was no question of this that I ever knew of until Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan retired, and the jump man was thought to be, was talked about has been talked about since the early 2000s about being the NBA logo. Well, that generation that grew up through the 90s, that was the guy. So they wanted him to be the jump. They wanted that to be the NBA logo. We've talked about it on this podcast. Should Michael Jordan be the NBA logo? Well, it's a new generation is coming in, and something horrific happened to one of the greatest players that lived through that generation. One of the most Michael Jordan-esque player that you could find in that generation of Kobe Bryant. And tragically dies. It's going to bring up a lot of things that normally wouldn't be brought up if this dude was alive. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think we're talking about this if Kobe Bryant is alive today. That is the only reason I would say no to Kobe Bryant being the logo. I still believe that it's Jordan. Jordan is the epitome of everything. If you're going to change the logo, you got to negotiate that thing through Nike and figure out a way to get the jump man to be the logo. I don't see any other way around it. I understand where he's coming from because this is personal for him. And it's personal for us. That's why I feel the way I do, right? So when I first heard this, I immediately was scuffing this thing off like I do with a lot of Kyrie stuff. And I started thinking about it. So I understand where he's coming from. I appreciate where he's coming from. If they took like a Kobe fadeaway jumper and put that on the logo, which I believe that's really the only standout thing, like LeBron has his one-handed dunk, right? That is LeBron. Shaq had the two-hand. LeBron has his. You could put that into a silhouette, the LeBron dunk that he does all the time. That would be LeBron's logo. You've got Michael with the jump man. The only thing I could think of that Kobe did so consistently was that little fadeaway jumper. And I feel like that you could put as the logo. If they did it, would I be mad? No, I ain't gonna be mad. Do I think they should? I'm gonna go with no.
I'm pretty much on the same page with you. When he first said this, everybody started talking about it, and it was just as much whether it was a yes or no about Kobe, just as much as that, it made everybody start saying, but if not Kobe, who? And it kind of was a conversation. And then most people talked about Jordan, like you said. And, I'm sure other people brought up a few other players, but honestly, it's,
but let's be honest, who else? Yeah, who else is there? I mean, who else is there that you would even think about that? Unless you just put the number 100 up there and put Wilt Chamberlain, because yesterday or Monday was it Monday or Tuesday? Was it yesterday? Was the anniversary of when Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a game. That's and right. I wish as I was listening to all this, I wanted to talk to you about it and maybe make that a segment. I didn't think about it until just now. Wilt Chamberlain, the statistics that he put up, just individual statistics, individual game, individual season statistics that man put up. You could easily, we talk about Kareem being one of the greatest. We talk about Michael. We talk about Kobe. We talk about LeBron. Talk about anybody you want. Wilt Chamberlain's always in that conversation, but you don't ever hear anybody just hands down, Wilt Chamberlain's the best. The individual records that guy had, you just put 100 down. That guy did some things, assists. He led the league in assists per game for a season, for like 3 seasons, I think. I can't remember. It was either one or he's the only player over 7 foot to ever lead the league in assists in a game, in assists per game. Like just silly stuff like that. Way back when he was averaging 50 points a game for a month. He averaged 50 points a game for a month 3 times.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is his top. So he had 100 points in that game. He had 25 rebounds, by the way, in that game. But his highest scoring games after that, 78 points, 43 rebounds in a game, 73 points, 36 rebounds, 73 points, 14 rebounds, 72 points, 18 rebounds, and 70 points, 18 rebounds. So he had 100 points, and then he had 70 or more 5 times. So, and you can go through almost every record.
There's one more. There's one more that needs to be said.
Okay.
Before we do anything else. He holds the record for most rebounds in a game. It's like 54 or something like that. I want to say it's 54. I'm pretty sure it's 52 or 54. The opposing center, you think, oh, well, yeah, it was a bunch of little tiny dudes that he played against. The opposing center in that game, that was against the Boston Celtics and Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Hold on for that for a second. Wilt Chamberlain holds the record for most rebounds in a game. And when he did it back in the 50s or 60s, whenever the heck he played, I guess the 60s. When he did it, you're thinking, oh, well, he was 7 foot. Everybody else was terrible. He did that against Bill Russell.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I might start saying that Wilt Chamberlain's the best player to ever play the game of basketball.
you're not going to get a lot of pushback on that. I don't think. I mean, some people will, but you can easily find numbers to support that. And it's one of the oldest arguments against Wilt, I guess you could say, is the competition he played against and how big he was. It's not really, I mean, I don't think the competition was nearly as bad as a lot of people think it was. And yeah, he was 7'1" or whatever at a time where 7'1" was like very, very rare.
It's like 8 foot.
Yeah. But he didn't, I mean, he played against other good players though. It's not like he was just that, not just that big, but he was one of the most athletic players to ever play basketball. Still to this day, as athletic as everybody is in this game, Wilt Chamberlain could play in today's game without quite. I mean, he is today's best players.
Be an all-star and MVP caliber type player every single year. Yeah. I don't know how we just got into this. I will totally take the blame for taking this off the road, because in my head I was thinking who else it could be, who else you could put on the logo, and I just said put the number 100 on there. I will take the blame for throwing this thing off the rails.
It could definitely be Wilt. It could definitely be Michael. It could be Kobe. It could be Bill Russell because he has the most championships. It could be a bunch of guys. But
would you be upset if it was LeBron? If they decided LeBron, when he retires, they decided to make him the logo, would you be mad?
No.
Good for you.
But here's the thing. The logo right now is not Jerry West because of anything Jerry West accomplished. He's one of the best players of all time, but it has nothing to do with Jerry West. Jerry West has specifically said he wishes he was not the logo. He does not want to be the logo. He's very open for change. Because he's gotten more attention because he's the logo than anything else. Although he was like, I already said it, but
I don't know about that. I feel like I think he gets just as much attention for being a player, being an amazing front office executive, and other stuff that he's done since. I don't think he gets I think he gets more for the other stuff than the logo.
I think he gets more questions about the logo, or he gets more people say something to him about being the logo than anything else, unless it's like local publications talking when he's working in cities.
Right.
Or whatever. But he's like, I never wanted to be the logo. They just found a picture that worked out, and it was my silhouette. It's not a picture of him. That's the thing. Like, these aren't
exactly.
And so he's like, I don't care. Like, I don't. Yeah, change it if you want to. I don't, So Jerry West has no issue with it. And it has nothing to do with Jerry West. It's not Jerry West on the logo now because of him. So because of that, I don't know. It just, I started thinking about well, it has to be Michael, right? If you're going to change it, it's got to be Michael. He's widely considered the best ever. And, but first of all, the Jumpman logo, it'll never be that because of all the legal stuff you'd have to go through to make it work. And
billions of dollars would have to be exchanged from the NBA to Nike to get that.
Billions with a B. And so it'll never be that. So, I mean, could it be like another picture of Michael? Sure. There's a lot of different things, but it could be a picture of anybody. It could be a picture of Billy Donovan played a couple of years in the NBA. And it could be a picture of him. If you find a good picture of a guy playing basketball and it works out, the silhouette works out, great. Jack Sikma.
I say do what the NBA or do what Major League Baseball has done and just take the most generic, exact circle of a head, the exact half circle and line of a helmet, but do that with a basketball player. And I don't know what position he's doing. Make it a defensive position, arms out. You know what I mean? Arms out in a squat. That's from like a side angle. That's what the new NBA logo should be. A stick figure with his arms out playing defense. Make everybody happy. Make everybody happy.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm getting to. You don't need it. it doesn't need to be changed. I get what Kyrie's saying. It's more of a personal thing for him. I think you mentioned that it's a generational thing, and it's specifically a personal thing for him because he was close with Kobe and everything, and that was his mentor and all that. And he says that, but I mean, players are going to have their opinions about that. I think LeBron spoke up about having years ago about having number 23 retired throughout the NBA because of Jordan.
Yep.
And, it didn't happen, but it's, there was a big kind of the same kind of debate with this back then with that. It just, sure, you can do it if you want. It's not necessary, I don't think. Just like changing the logo is not necessary. It would make sense. I wouldn't have a problem with it. And I wouldn't have a problem whether it's Kobe or anybody else. So I'm fine either way. I don't think, I'm
going to go out on a
lot of
limb.
money. It costs a lot of money.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. I'm going to go
out.
out on a limb and say that it's never going to change, because anybody that they want to change it to has a deal with something or with someone, in their silhouette, their likeness is going to cost the NBA too much money to change. It will be Jerry West for our lifetime.
Probably. And I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking what it would cost to change every single thing the NBA is involved in. Merchandise, every advertising thing, every single thing that's ever printed regarding the NBA has the NBA logo on that. And to have every piece of that changed is,
but you're not like that's no big deal. What are you changing? I mean, if you're just going from here on, this is the logo. You're not like going back in time and changing, like going and calling anyone that's got an NBA jersey and saying, I need you to bring your jersey back so I can unstitch this and stitch this back in. You're just going from here on out. That price I don't think would affect anything.
No, but every piece of signage in every arena and on every billboard.
That all has to be changed.
Every single thing has to be changed. And you're not gonna just be okay with the old stuff just being out for a little while or whatever,
for a year or two until it's time to change it.
It's got to all be changed right away. So anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking. You're right, especially if it's somebody with living and, or even his family probably would get a bunch of money. I'm sure Kobe's family would if they changed it. But anyway,
absolutely.
I'm fine if they change it. Not necessary. I kind of hope they just keep it this way.
Yeah,
like the NBA.
I'm with you. You know who I think they should change it to? I think they should change it to Larry Bird shooting a 3-pointer. Speaking of Larry Bird shooting a 3-pointer,
winner of the first 3-point contests.
Exactly. I believe he walked in. Was it his second or was it his third? Where he walked into the locker room and said, "What's up, guys? So who's coming in second today?"
Yep. Yep. Yeah, there are a lot of different versions of that, but yes, that's what happened.
That was my keep it clean Larry Bird version.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. He won the first 3, and then there are a lot of repeat champions, except for the last 10, 15 years. But for the first, he won 3, then Craig Hodges won 3, and I forget, Dale Ellis won 1 in there somewhere, and then a few other guys won 2 or 3 in a row, and then it started getting every year, because it was, for a while it was hard to get. I don't know, the 3-point contest is the one that usually gets the best actual shooters usually.
Exactly.
And that's not always the case with the dunk contest and the skills challenge and that kind of thing. But
it used to be with the dunk contest. Now, when the dunk contest started and the 3-point contest started, it was the best there was at both of them. Mm-hmm. And the 3-point contest continued. Maybe not so much even to today, where Steph's not doing every single one. You're not getting Steph and Clay in them all. They're letting the younger guys do it, but even still, they did 1 or 2, right? They all were in a couple. Whereas LeBron's never been involved in a dunk competition. That's right. When you take one of the most ferocious dunkers It's because let's be honest, when you're dunking, these dunks that these guys do, if you go back and watch the dunk competition for years, the guys that win the dunk competition are the ones that just beat up the rim, right? They're angry dunkers. They do something phenomenal, but when they do it, they throw it down, they hang on the rim and do something crazy. Vince Carter, elbow in the rim. Everything Vince Carter did when he threw it down, it was powerful, right? There's power behind it. There's been a lot of really good dunkers in the dunk competition that are just like finesse dunkers that could do all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's an easy dunk and if you make it look too easy, it's not always a good thing.
Yeah. I think Vince had the perfect, because I think he's easily the best dunker of all time. And I think he had the perfect combination of power and finesse, because he
Without a
made it
doubt.
look really smooth too. He would dunk
Yeah.
it hard, but he would make it look smooth. And some guys, you're right. Some guys just try to just go up and that's their dunk, dunking it as hard, cocking it back and dunking it as hard as they can or whatever. That's not a dunk contest dunk. And then some guys, do the, you had, I think it was Dwight Howard, won one of them when his hand was 2 feet away from the rim when he dunked it. He threw it through, and
Threw it in.
Blake Griffin did the same thing.
Blake Griffin, worst ending dunk in the history of the dunk contest.
Jumping over the car.
A car that's driven underneath the rim, underneath the basket. That was the easy. Every person that's been in the dunk competition since it started could have did that dunk. Spud Webb, you name it, anyone that's ever been in a dunk competition could have done that dunk. I remember watching that and going, what did he just do? Like, he didn't do anything. He just jumped up over top of a car and then had to be careful landing because the car was almost directly underneath the basket. Like, he didn't do anything.
The hood of the car, by the way.
Yes, that's all. It wasn't like he jumped the length of the car. Right. The car was sideways, not long ways. It was sideways. He only jumped over the hood, which is what, 5 feet? You got to jump. They start from that farther. Anybody that jumps a foot and a half or 2 feet inside the free throw line is harder than that.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry. We get in dunk competition stuff and I can get excited because also too, while we're at it, before we go into who's in them, because we're going off the rails all over the place today. We're in this thing 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes. Let's just say this. Best dunk competition of all time. And I don't know the years, so talk about the dunks. What is your favorite dunk competition of all time? Is it Vince's, the year where he did the between the legs, did the elbow and from behind the rim, that year? What's your favorite year of dunks ever?
Easily that one. It was either 2000 or 2001, and it was easily that year. By far the best performance in a dunk contest. Maybe not the best. It was a really good one too, because Tracy McGrady did some really good dunks too in that.
Yes, one. He did. Who was it? It was Carter that did it, where he threw it off the side of the backboard, then went between the legs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And other guys have done that since, but that was like the first time we saw almost all those. And the one he came from behind the backboard and did like
that was awesome.
Whatever reverse 360 or whatever.
That reverse 360 with the windmill. That was one of my favorite dunks. I'm going to tell you right now, the Levine Gordon, that year when Gordon jumped over, literally you see people jumping over people all the time and they're putting a hand on a back and doing things like that. When he jumped over the mascot and put the ball underneath him, basically around underneath his butt with his legs out, that Levine Gordon dunk competition, the best duel I've ever seen in my life in the dunk. By far, Vince Carter, greatest dunker in any dunk competition to ever even step foot onto hardwood court. But that duo that duel that those boys had at the end, when they gave that to Zach LaVine, and he's like, man, Aaron Gordon, not like, this is ours. Like, I can't accept this. There's no way I can accept this. That, like, what we both did now was insane. You had to give him all tens. You couldn't not give him all tens. He only won because he had a 9, and what's his name had an 8 on like their first dunk. Like, it went back to an original. Like, come on, that was insane. Anyway.
Yeah. Yep. That was a really good dunk contest. So we got to get into this year's dunk contest, though.
Let's do it.
The names here are not going to blow your socks off. But first of all, there are only 3 guys in the dunk contest. Because this has to be done at halftime. This is being done at halftime of the All-Star game on Sunday. So I guess they got to make it quick. So they got 3 guys. They got 2 guys that are really, really good jumpers that I'm excited about seeing. And then 1 guy who can dunk, who played 1 year in college and was player of the year at a small school near where we are, and dunked all the time. And he's athletic and big and that kind of thing, but he just doesn't look like one of those dunk contest dunkers to me. But so first we have Cassius Stanley, plays for the Pacers, from Duke. He's rookie, and he has like a 40 at Duke. He recorded like a 46-inch vertical leap, which would rank among the all-time vertical leaps in NBA history. Obi Toppin is the guy we were talking about. He played at Dayton, University of Dayton, now with the Knicks. And then Anthony Simons plays with the Portland Trail Blazers. I think he is in his 2nd year. And he's another guy who's kind of a guard, one of those like 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guards, super athletic guy. Probably needs some development like Cassius Stanley, similar to him. So those 3 guys, Cassius Stanley, Obi Toppin, Anthony Simons. Who do you have winning the dunk contest?
Okay, so now that I see these 3 names, I didn't really do too much in looking into this before we did the podcast. But as I look at these guys, I do remember watching ESPN the other night, and they showed a few highlights of all 3 of these guys. They were talking about the dunk competition because all of them had dunks in the games they were in. Obi Toppins was a alley-oop, which just looked like an alley-oop. Cassius Stanley did something from the corner where he jumped from, it seemed like 12 feet away. I'm going to go with Cassius Stanley just because if I remember those 3 dunks, just the ones from the other night, because I have no idea. So I'm taking Cassius Stanley.
Okay. You're going to be disappointed because I already had mine marked Cassius Stanley as well.
Nope. I'm taking Anthony
No.
Simmons.
Nope.
I'm taking Anthony Simmons.
Well, you picked first. So if we have to pick different, then I have to pick different.
No, that's not true. We don't have to pick different. That's why I am picking different.
Okay. I think we could both pick Cassius Stanley because we don't have a bet on this one. We decided we don't have to bet on everything.
No, yes,
we did. We'll check next week and see who was right for, whatever, bragging rights or whatever. But okay, so you're gonna go with Anthony Simons. Okay. All right. Always go with your gut. Always go with your gut. Yeah. You know that, but
well, you're probably right. So before we get into my favorite contest, which is the 3-point contest, which has some studs in it, to be quite frank, I want to talk about the skills competition because for my life, the skills competition, the 3-point competition is my favorite. The skills competition is fun because there's usually some big guys in there that are doing it at the same time. Guys that are 6'10", 6'11", 6'12", 6'13", 6'14", all different sizes of 6 foot and above. And it's fun for me to see guys like in this year, you got Nikola Vucevic. Did I say that right? Who else in here is a big boy? Julius Randle's in there. Domantas Sabonis is in there. 1, 2, 3. So we got four. We got 3 guards / forwards and 4 forwards / centers. Is that correct?
You have like one legit point guard.
That's it.
A couple of guys who are kind of in between. Like Luka Doncic is considered a point guard now, but
he is.
You don't think? Yeah, he was.
Luka's a point guard, and if you go on to fantasy basketball, he's considered a 1.
I don't know in fantasy or not, but
if I go into that's how I look at it. If I go onto a fantasy basketball team, I've got a guy who's going to be. I feel like Luka is a small forward, and like that's all that they would allow him to be.
Yeah,
but they're going to give him.
He plays point guard for the Mavericks, but
yeah, well, so does LeBron James, but
right,
LeBron's not a point guard.
Right. I've seen maybe it was just on one of those lists that you see on every day on like Instagram or something that says who are the best point. It has like 6 pictures or something. Who's the best point guard in the league, and he was on one of those. So I'm like, oh, we're just calling Luka Doncic a point guard now. Maybe it was on something.
Yeah.
Like that. But,
yeah, that's like calling James Harden point guard for the Brooklyn Nets because he's been the point guard lately. But it's Kyrie Irving's the point guard on that team, but James Harden has been, basically playing that. So has LeBron James for years has been playing point guard for whatever team he plays for, but he's going to be a small forward for his entire life.
That's why positions are I don't know, they're just not valid anymore. I don't think
within a few years. Well, they already switched, right? Like go 15 years ago, it was point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center.
Now it's front court and back court.
Well, no, not quite. But then you went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You had numbers, right? I feel like it went away from that, even though those numbers still related to that position. It became numbers, whether it was easy or not. But then I could say, well, he can play the 2 or the 3, right? He can play the 3 or the 4, or he can guard the 2, 3, or 4, or he can guard the 5 or whatever. And things started getting a little more vague when you got in the numbers. But it's like you said, now it's basically become a front court, back court. And even in that case, KD plays both. So, I mean, KD literally, Anthony Davis could play any position on the court if he wanted to. He literally came up in high school as a point guard or shooting guard, whatever, as a guard. And so maybe you just have guard forward and that's it. Because I don't even think you have centers anymore. I think they're just forwards.
Yeah. Because so many people play small lineups anyway. So you have guys that, you have 6'5" guys playing center now for some teams and, whatever.
And then you have guys that are 7 foot playing the 2.
Yeah. Right. Yep. I mean, Dirk Nowitzki is, in some circles considered a power forward or was for a while. He's the best shooter on the team every year he played. I mean, he was a 2, really,
Yep.
So anyway, all right. So we've got a mix.
All right. So go into the skills. So let's figure out who we're going to take in the skills competition. Robert Covington with the Trailblazers, Luka Doncic with the Mavericks, Chris Paul, the only actual point guard. When this skills competition came out, it was just point guards. Chris Paul, Julius Randle, who's had a phenomenal year with the Knicks, Domantas Sabonis for the Pacers, who, I mean, that dude I feel is like 6'9" or something, 6'10" and does everything. And then Nikola Vucevic for the Magic, who has become one of my favorite players.
Yeah. You want me to go?
I went last time, so this is you.
It's tempting to pick a big guy because they keep winning it lately.
Constantly. Cat won it. Karl Anthony Towns won this just a few years ago.
Yep.
I mean, it's always big guys, it seems like lately. But anyway, go ahead.
I think I'm going Luka Doncic.
Damn.
It's so right. I want to either pick a big guy or I want to pick Chris Paul because he's the only like real true guard. And this is going to be his 5th time in this competition. He's never won it. So
the problem is these big guys they're so big and they can shoot so well and they're so strong that it's the half court shot it's the 3-point shot. They're not even taking 3-point shots anymore. A lot of these guys are, after they hit that pass and then go to the other side and hit the layup, they're just running down, and before they can get to that 3, they're chucking it up. And these guys are so good at that. That's why I think Luka is a terrific pick in this. However, I'm going with Nikola Vucevic.
all righty. We got our skills competition. Moving on to the 3-point contest. Most exciting part. All right. We've got, like you said, this another really good, and some of these guys you might not even think about as shooters, but they are all really good 3-point shooters, honestly. You have Devin Booker, who, go ahead.
Real quick, before we get into that, I want to say the dunk competition's at halftime. The skills competition in the 3-point game is before the All-Star game. This happens prior to the All-Star game. So if you want to watch this, you need to get on Sunday, like around 6:15, between 6 and 6:30. I think it starts at 6:30, but that's when all this stuff is going down. Mm-hmm. You've got to watch it before. Don't think that everything's happening at halftime, because it's not just those 3 guys in the dunk competition. Get on beforehand. They'll do the skills competition first, 3-point competition, then play the game, then dunk, then finish the game. So that being said, I apologize for interrupting like I always do for you.
That was a good public service announcement. You're right about that. All right. So we got, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Zach LaVine, and Donovan Mitchell are the participants in the 3-point contest. This is easy for me, really easy for me. As good as all these guys are at shooting,
there's only 2 in here that I would take.
Yeah, I know we're thinking of the same 2. And I'm with you. Devin Booker could easily win this thing, but Steph Curry is the best 3-point shooter of all time to ever play in the NBA. So there's no reason for me to not select him.
He's only won 1 out of the 3 he's been in.
Best shooter of all time. I have to take him. I have no choice.
That being said, we were thinking about the same people, because Devin Booker is the one who I truly believe is the only one that's even close to Steph Curry in this group. Zach LaVine, I still don't get this Zach LaVine thing, right? One of the greatest dunkers.
Turned himself into one of the best shooters in the league. One of the best 3-point shooters.
He has. But he's also been one of the greatest. I put him not much lower than Vince Carter in dunk competitions. The dunks he's done have been somewhat, to find a guy who can do a creative dunk now is pretty insane. And that dude flies. Mm-hmm. And yet this is his second, maybe third 3-point competition. I know it's at least his second 3-point competition that he's been in. I am going to take Zach LaVine and I'm going to put him down. Oh my God. No, I'm not. It's Devin Booker, dude. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I ain't stupid. If you're taking Steph, I'm taking Devin Booker.
I was going to praise you for that, because Zach LaVine will not surprise me if he wins this competition. It will not surprise me.
The reason I want to do it, though, is because I want somebody to have won a dunk competition and won a 3-point competition. And I feel like if there's a guy that could do it, he'd have to do it now, because it's not going to happen in 5 years. In 5 years, the 3-point competition is going to be guys that do nothing but shoot threes. And that is it. And they're going to be so good at it that we're going to see a perfect 3-point competition in the next 5 years. A perfect round.
I hope you're right.
We will see a perfect round.
I want to see it bad. That's more exciting to me than, it's more exciting when a guy gets to his last rack and his last couple shots are to win a round or to win the whole thing. That's the most exciting.
Knows it. Mm-hmm. And he knows it. When he's putting that last money ball up and that thing's got to go, there is nothing better than just watching that thing go up. And either way, if it goes in, and to see and then for that and to see him hold that gooseneck at the top, I can't even do a gooseneck. To see him hold that gooseneck at the top, or to see him just hold it and then drop it in disappointment because he missed. I love it so much. I love it. And it's time. I know how long it's going to take. I don't have to worry about you making or missing 3 dunks before you make that dunk at the end. Yep. In the dunk competition, if you don't make it on your second try, I don't think you should get another try.
I'm with you. There's a lot of stuff. We've talked about this the last couple of years, but there's a lot of stuff wrong with the dunk competition. It's been broken for a long time. They've tried a few different things.
Some things have worked, though. There's been some good years. But you're right. It's been broke for a long time.
Yeah. But excited about the skills challenge, even more excited about the 3-point contest. And you know what? These guys, especially Cassius Stanley and Anthony Simons, they could be some really, really good dunks. And I just want to see something we haven't seen before. I want to see something great that we haven't seen before. I don't even care who wins. Just show me something different. I've seen you throw it. I've seen a teammate throw it against the side of the backboard and you catch it and put it through your legs. Everybody can do the behind the back dunk now, under the legs dunk. I mean, way more people can dunk now than they used to be able to and do different dunks. So I want to see something special. I want to see something different, be unique, be creative, and make people excited to watch the dunk contest next year.
So 2 things on the dunk contest. I want to see 2 different dunks. And I believe we may have seen it already, but has there been a standing 2-foot jump? No, not running, just standing 2 foot between the legs dunk. Just 2 feet standing, because I think that would be insane. That being said, I'd also love to see a running off 1 foot 360 between the legs dunk. I feel like that's doable.
Oh, between the legs 360. True 360. That's the thing.
Nobody does a true 360. So don't get caught up in that. It's gonna be more of like a 210 when it comes down to it, because they almost all start a quarter of the way turned before they start their jump anyway.
Half, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen that I think we've seen that before. And I think all 3 of those guys can stand and do, because I forget which one it was, but I was watching videos earlier of all 3 of these guys dunking. And one of those guys did a just standing still under the basket, jump between the legs dunk. I think it might've been Obi Toppin.
But that's pretty insane. 2 foot, because to jump off 2 feet is way more difficult than jumping off 1 foot. And to just stand still 2 foot between the legs, okay, that'd be fun. So the other dunk that I want to see, and I've been talking about this for years, and I realize how difficult it is, because it's not a difficult dunk, right? I know that this is not a difficult dunk when I say this out loud. The difficulty is in not breaking your wrist before you dunk. But I've been talking about it for years. I want to see somebody do a cartwheel, come up, and as they get back to their feet, jump up and dunk. I want to see that. Ball in hand, cartwheel. I saw it the other day. There was a guy in a college on ESPN. It was on ESPN in a college basketball game. In the warm-ups beforehand, did it in the layup line. He did a cartwheel with the ball in his hand, which means you 1 hand on the ground, 1 hand on the ball on the ground. That's scary. Like that ball can go anywhere, and then come back up and jump and dunk immediately. And he did it in a warm-up dunk. That is the dunk I want to see. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I haven't either, but I don't think that's a good dunk contest dunk, to be honest with you, because you're doing a cartwheel. That's the impressive part.
But it's different.
But then when you stand up, you're just dunking the ball.
All right. Well, you spin around and then try to go dunk.
Yeah, the cartwheels.
That would be a good one.
I'm pretty sure but it was the throwing it up. I mean, doing the cartwheel with the ball in your hand. That's definitely the most impressive part. I don't think I've seen.
That's the hardest part of it.
Yeah, but then once you do the cartwheel, then you just jump up and dunk. And I'm like, okay, you know. But
Then the
anyway,
dunk is nothing. But what about this? What if you stand with a bat at half court and you spin around a bat with your nose on the bat 10 times and then dunk?
I want every single dunk to have to start with that. That's what I want. I can't get enough of that, dude. And I don't care what dunk contest or anything else. When anyone does anything starting with the nose on the bat spin around, just so funny.
Any college basketball, NBA TV timeout that you can possibly be at the game and be there when they have fans do that, greatest thing ever.
You are a fan of the show Impractical Jokers, are you not?
Absolutely. I went to their comedy special when they went to when they're at Wright State.
Oh, nice. I think my sister went and saw them live too.
She did, right? That it was not much before me, but she wasn't at the same one I was at, but she did go to one. I did see it on the chat snap or the face tube or something.
Yeah. And so I think my favorite episode and my favorite thing they ever did was when Sal had to do that as a punishment. He had to, I think it started out, the whole thing was, I think he had to first put on these glasses that like block the bottom of your eyesight or something like that. Or
no. Teach a kid how to dribble a basketball.
Yeah, it was similar to that, but it wasn't that. It was like glasses you put on that shifted everything like to the right or left a little bit.
Oh my God.
So he had to be a server and bring a pitcher of water and refill people's glasses at this restaurant, at this real restaurant, nice restaurant. And he had to wear these glasses first. He was just pouring stuff on tables. And then funnier than that, he put the glasses away and they brought him back behind this curtain and had him spin around a whole bunch of times, and then had to carry a tray with the water pitchers and glasses of water and stuff on it. Had to carry that out to serve people, and he didn't even make it. He like stood up and just fell over, and fell and like stumbled into a wall, and it was just. I've never laughed harder at that show than that scene. So please, anything you can do to start by spinning around a bunch of times. I can't do that because I cannot handle spinning at all. But it's so funny to watch people have to do that.
Everybody knows me. I will throw up after 2 times around a bat. I'll throw up.
Same. Okay, so that was fun. Let's go to our Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, while we're talking about the NBA, I mean, it's been an all NBA the last couple of weeks. In fact, that reminds me, next week is conference tournaments, so we need to maybe we jump out and see if there's pending on when certain teams play on certain nights, if they can seal deals on certain games, maybe we can get certain people to do this podcast before the conference tournaments or right when the conference tournaments are about to start.
That would certainly be great.
I will do what I can for that. That being said, now on to the NBA Mount Rushmore that I chose last week, which is the greatest Sacramento Kings of all time.
That's right.
That being said, Adam Schmidt, we made rules for the greatest Sacramento Kings. They're not the greatest Kings of all time. They're not the greatest what do they call it? Franchises that became kings, because Oscar Robertson would be there and all kinds of people. I could pull this stuff up, and there's whole lists of people that I could have for that. Not that. This is only as a player for the Sacramento Kings.
That's right.
That being said,
85, 86.
Okay. Yes.
To now.
That being said, Adam Schmidt, I'm going to let you start with I'm trying to pull up my little website here, but I want you to start with your greatest Kings. of all time.
My greatest kings. King Joffrey from
Your
number
greatest
one.
Sacramento Kings.
Oh, Sacramento Kings. Gotcha. Mitch Richmond. I don't know if I can put a number one. If I had to put a number one,
Is Mitch
Sacramento
Richmond
Kings
really
all
your
time.
number one? Is he
I
number
think-
one for you?
I think Mitch Richmond would be my number one Sacramento King of all time. And going into this, I didn't think that would be the case. But just looking at everything, he's first in field goals made, first in free throws made, second in 3-point field goals made, first in points, second in points per game. Their kind of version of WAR. It's
Yeah.
it's
Was that
value
not
above-
weird? What did the value above replacement?
Value
I've
above replacement.
never seen that before.
Yeah. That he's like, one or two in a lot of things in franchise history. So I'm going Mitch Richmond. I'm going the easiest one for me was Chris Webber. Even if his stats didn't hold up, and I was honestly surprised that he wasn't higher on this list in some things.
In a whole lot of stats,
Yeah.
a ton of them. I thought he'd be higher in points. I thought he'd be higher in rebounds, although he was up there in rebounds. I thought he'd be higher. I thought he'd be number one, to be honest. I thought he would be way higher in a ton of these stats, which he was not.
Yeah. But he is my favorite Sacramento King of all time. So, and he was on, so the Sacramento Kings 85, 86 to 2020, 2021 season. That's what, 17 years or 27 years or whatever. 37 years, 36, 37 years, something like that.
36,
Yeah.
because I'm 37 right now, and I was born in 83.
Right.
So
So in that amount of years, they've had, I think it was 7 winning seasons, 7 seasons with a winning record. I'm pretty sure Chris Webber was on all of those teams, or at least 6 of them or something like that. So it really turned around with that team. I talked about it last year. I think 99-2000 was their first winning season. And then 2 years after that, or 3 years after that, they went to the Western Conference Finals and lost. I do not want to talk about it, Chris. I don't want to talk about that.
I'm not doing it.
But Chris Webber was third all time in field goals made, second in rebounds per game, first in points per game, not points, but points per game. Third in blocks, second in blocks per game, first in value above replacement. So Chris Webber, Mitch Richmond. The next guy who might actually
can I throw this out there real quick
Please do.
while we're talking about Chris Webber? What is that weird thing that they had him? He's so far and above. The one thing he's so far and above everybody else. He was like 3-point. Maybe it was that. Maybe it was that. Where was it? Here we go. Offensive box plus minus. I don't know what that is. No. Not offensive, just box plus minus. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what box plus minus is, but if you go into any stat and the best person ever to play for your organization is a 4.0 and the next person is 2.9, I feel like actually 2.4 because Sam Lacey doesn't count. So Mitch Richmond at 2.4. If that's next, you're almost double as good. I don't know what box plus minus is. Chris Webber, hands down the best ever.
Yeah.
In that.
That's right. So, and it's one of those things, I can't explain it either, but it's one of those things, like you see, plus minus is one of the more mainstream stats now when you look at a box score for basketball.
And when it's more about like your team's points when let's see, your team's points versus their team's points when you're on the floor. Right. That's how I see it. But I don't know what box plus minus is.
Yeah, I think it's like a more comprehensive, like it's a whole formula plus minus, I think. And I think just your positive contributions versus your negative contributions or whatever. So I'm gonna stop because I can't explain it, but the, Weber, like you said, was at the top there. The third guy is another guy who I think you could probably, when you look total where he ranks among these guys, I could probably put him as actually the best Sacramento King ever, just where he ranks with everything. It's DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins.
Here's the deal. Before you started that, and before you said I could rank him as the best, I was thinking there's only one dude that was at the top of so many categories that you could not disregard. And it was DeMarcus Cousins. But the only other person left on here that you would have chosen was either Mike Bibby or Peja Stojakovic. So I knew you weren't talking about either of them because they were only at the top of very few categories. So I'm interested in number 4. I already know who it is because he was one of your favorite players. He was one of your favorite players throughout the late 90s, early 2000s, just of all time. If you took a 5-year span, I say Peja Stojakovic might have been your favorite player for at least 2 out of 7 years during that span of time. That being said, did you choose Mike Bibby?
Chose Peja Stojakovic.
Of course you did.
Look, third all time in points, first in 3-point goals made, which, you know, it's just what's happening in the game today is Buddy Hield is in his third or fourth year as a Sacramento King, and next year he's going to pass Peja Stojakovic.
He is second in 3-pointers made in Sacramento Kings history.
So, yes. But Peja, best free throw percentage, first in win shares. Win shares is another one that is sort of a comprehensive thing that puts a value on a guy. But he had, because he stayed there after Weber I think he was there a couple of years after they kind of that team, that Weber, Bibby, you know, Doug Christie, those guys, that team kind of faded out and guys started leaving and stuff. Stojakovic stayed a couple more years and he, you know, was still firing up a bunch of 3-pointers on bad teams. But so he was at near the top of almost all the shooting categories, but not really anything else, except win shares. Win shares, you're there to win games. So
that's right.
That, and he was
and
third.
he shared in a lot of those wins.
He shared in a lot of wins, and third in the value above replacement. So the top 4 guys, the top 4 Sacramento Kings in value above replacement ended up being my 4 guys.
So as much as this sucks, I chose the exact same 4. I had Mike Bibby in a lot. He's the only other player that I wrote down. I didn't write any other player down. I wrote Mike Bibby. I've got Weber, Peja, DeMarcus Cousins, Mitch Richmond, space, Mike Bibby.
The other guy, I have Bibby down. The other guys I had written down that I wanted to get more statistical support from that I just didn't see was Vlade, Jason Williams, Reggie.
Vlade was only in there in one category, and that was it defensive rebounds or offensive rebounds? But there was only like 1 or 2 categories. He was even in the top 5, and it was it. He was in almost nothing, but he played so many years with the Lakers that his elder years with the Kings, they were good, but they just weren't. It wasn't the bulk of his career.
He was up there. He was like 4th in blocks. That's all I had written down for him. But anyway, I had Vlade, I had Bibby. I didn't write much down for those other guys, but Vlade Bibby. I wrote down Jason Williams because he might be the most exciting. He was probably the most exciting player that ever wore a Sacramento Kings jersey, right? And one of the more
White chocolate.
recognizable players, yeah. But a couple of the older guys from when they first became the Sacramento Kings was Reggie Theus and LaSalle Thompson that I wrote down. Reggie Theus was way up there in like assists, some of the assist stuff, and
Yeah.
LaSalle Thompson.
I'm glad you wrote
rebound
both. I'm glad you wrote both those guys down because nobody knows who they are. Nobody cares who they are. That being said, Jason Williams, can I tell you a story about Jason Williams?
Yeah.
One of my favorite. No, nobody's
No.
heard of either of them. No, nobody has. You haven't even heard of them until you read all this stuff.
No. I've heard LaSalle. I remember Reggie Theus and LaSalle Thompson mostly from like collecting cards, but
Yeah.
But I knew who they were. I know what Reggie Theus looks like. I know what both those guys look like. And Reggie Theus, I remember him being a good player, but those were the other two guys that I wrote down because they were in enough top tens.
As your average NBA player, or maybe even slightly below average, I don't know what I would consider myself. No idea who either of those two guys are. Me, myself, and I. That being said, Jason Williams, favorite story about Jason Williams, this dude broke into a high school gym when he was in college. I don't know if he broke into it, but he goes into a high school gym when he's in college and he tapes a square on the wall and just throws around the back passes at the square for an hour and a half with either hand. This is the only person I've ever heard of or seen do that I can ever even think of, because that's not something that you like go out and, all right, let's get really good at the behind the back pass. Like, people do it, but nobody practices it that hard.
Yeah. I think guys practice it, but not. Yeah. I heard the same story. Jason Kidd, it kind of reminded you of some of the stories of Pistol Pete Maravich.
Sure.
He did stuff like that.
Yeah. The flashiness. Yeah.
But he would practice that kind of stuff though. And so, yeah, but you know, it is those guys played that way because they practiced that kind of stuff more than most others. So yeah, he was exciting to watch, but we had the same Mount Rushmore. I know you don't like that.
That's a bummer. That was such a bummer. I was slightly excited when I came up with the randomness of that Mount Rushmore, and now I'm super disappointed. So that being said, on to bigger and better things. There's a fella named Brian Regan that's been in the comedy game for a very long time. He came out with a post-COVID, or should I say during COVID? I don't even know what to call it. A COVID comedy special. Mm-hmm. Pretty big place they were in. There was quite a few empty seats, but there was also quite a few people. If you look at the big spectrum when they go back, there's a bunch of empty seats, but they're bulked together. Like, it looked like a bunch of people sitting together and then some big clumps of empty seats. So I don't know if they sold them in like groups, right? Like bubble groups, you know what I mean? Like groups of 10 or whatever you want to call it. But everyone had masks on, and he did not do a lot of COVID jokes, which I liked. I was so happy that he could get into a COVID spiel and not get into COVID jokes. I think I could go for COVID jokes if they're done the right way. We did, what's his name, did the rooftop stuff, did a few COVID jokes that were pretty good. Sam Morril was really good. So anyway, Brian Regan, before I start just going ranting off about it, I'm going to let you, I've got a few notes here, so I'll let you go first. What did you think about Mr. Brian Regan and his new white hair?
Specifically about the white hair, it threw me off at first. And it's funny, he did it right, because he addressed it right up top, and he said
immediately
because he said, you won't listen to anything I say for the first 20 minutes if I don't talk about this right now. And he was right. Because I was staring at that thing, and I didn't realize until after I saw it, and after after I saw a clip the other day of it was a clip of Brian Regan in a comedy club doing a set. It said Brian Regan, 1990, 32 years old. I was like, what? He was 32 and 90? So he's 62 years old. I did not
That
realize
dude's 62 years old.
he's 62.
Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until I saw that clip. And then I'm like, okay, the white hair makes a little more sense now. Although last time I saw him, he didn't have any, I think he had very little white hair.
And mutton chops.
Yeah, right. So it was, I don't know. I mean, it's just what it is. I don't know if he said it was just like, it just hit him harder during COVID or something like that. I don't know if that's a real thing.
And then he got into the hair color aisles and all that. Makes
maybe
you
he
think
was
that there was a period of time where he was getting some color going, and old boy just finally let it all hang out.
That must be it.
As gray as he was, that didn't just all of a sudden happen. I'm just gonna tell you right now, as a man who's getting gray every single day, you can't tell from this podcast, but who's getting more and more gray I ain't got the sides yet. That's what's got me feeling good. My sides aren't cracking. That's when you know it's about to go. When the sides start hitting, you're gonna be Jim Schmidt before you know it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you become Joe Schmidt first, and then you become Jim Schmidt.
That's right. That's right. It goes Adam Schmidt, Joe Schmidt, complete. Like Adam just kind of like got younger real quick in the Schmidt family, but it goes Adam Schmidt, a little bit of gray on the side, Joe Schmidt, whatever he's got going with the whole dome, and then Jim Schmidt with the most hair of any gray-haired man I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's right. Brian Regan doing his Jim Schmidt impression right now. They're just about the same age, and they've got about the same hair now. So whatever's happening with his hair, whatever's happening with his age, the man is not losing it. I don't think I thought this was fantastic. I thought he was really funny. I like that while I like all different kinds of humor, we talk about this all the time. Give me a dirty joke all day long, but I also love that he's not that way. He doesn't have to, he doesn't do a lot of dirty stuff, and kind of same way with like Gaffigan and a few other people. But I like
a lot like Gaffigan.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because they can take almost any subject matter, usually something you don't even think about, and turn it into take one specific animal that you never think about and turn it into 10 or 15 minutes. So having said that, the first note that I wrote down, he was talking about going to the doctor and a whole bunch of different things with that. But and then I think he mentioned the ears, nose, and throat doctor or something like that, and started saying like the 3 different things that you could say. And the one that got me, he had some good ones, but the one that got me was the giraffe throat and throat doctor.
It's because when he said, I don't understand why all these doctors are all specialists.
Yeah.
And then you have vets that not only deal with every single animal, but they deal with every single body part of every single animal. And then we have our own specialist for what do you call it? Back of the knee, nape of the neck, back of the knee, spine, nape of the neck, or something like that.
Yeah,
doctor,
small of the back, nape of the neck.
Small of the back. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. Almost everything he did was really good. I wrote down the test, the diagnose. He talked about OCD, his OCD, and I related to that. The arranging the books on the shelf the way he did, and then talking about the test to diagnose it. He took the test, and the first question was whatever, and then he got to the second question, and he had this weird feeling that he didn't answer the first question, so he had to go back to the and then it was about the oven. He's like, no, I think that was the first question. Do you constantly check to see if you've turned the oven off? No, that's psycho or whatever in the second question. And then he got a weird feeling that he didn't answer the first one. And then he actually talking about Yeah, why are they talking about the oven? So I had to check the oven. It was on, so I'll never make that mistake again. That whole bit there was really funny. And talking about time zones, and it's first talking about how he I don't want to take all these from you. I don't want to take all your notes, but
You're good.
just talking about how somebody always has to say, and I've been guilty of this before. We have family in California. Every time we talk to them or hear something about them and hear a time, I'm like, okay, I got to do the math in my head. 3 hours, like it's some math problem.
Minus
Minus
3.
3 hours, right? So, but I still have to do it, and I'm saying it. I'm sure I've said it out loud plenty of times before. So okay, so 6 o'clock there. Okay, so 9 o'clock our time. Anyway, but when he got to, his friend left him a message and said, I'll be gone about 20 minutes my time.
Yeah. About 20 minutes West Coast time.
Yeah. That one got me. And the only other thing I had written down was he was talking about his like social anxieties or whatever and going to parties and the conversations people have.
Funny.
And his whole thing, the guy telling the story about the lottery tickets that he had all the
That was great. You started with nothing and finished below that.
Oh man, that was one of my favorite jokes.
Not being able to fit into any group. So it's funny that those are the things you said and wrote down, right? Because they all relate to you.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say that.
I guess that's true. Yeah,
I remember all those, but I really didn't write any of those down. I wrote down mushroom joke because I like mushrooms, but I could totally understand people being, why are mushrooms always involved in that whole deal with that. The raisins, I wrote down, raisins are not effing grapes. He said, I was like, well, do you like grapes? Oh, here we go. And then he says, do you like ham sandwiches? Would you like me to leave it outside for 3 days in the blistering sun on a picnic table so it shrivels up and hardens? Oh, but it's just a ham sandwich. Oh my God, I was dying laughing at that. I thought that was great. I got a couple other things here that you did. Oh, when he was talking about being on Mars, and he said they believe that there are rocks there that are from volcanoes. I laughed at this because you got to think about it, right? Every once in a while, some people will say something, and if I got to think an extra second longer than I feel like I should have, then I go, oh, daggone it, you got me, you son of a gun. That was a good one. He goes, if they expect me to believe that volcanoes blew rocks all the way to Mars, oh my God, I was dying. It was so great. That was good. I was almost a first responder talking about being in a plane. Why they should clap. They should clap for the people in the. We've had all kinds of people talk about the jokes about being in a plane in the section that opens whatever that is up.
the seat next to the door or whatever.
Yeah, the rest of the stuff is all stuff that you got. So I enjoyed this, man. I definitely enjoyed it. So on the count of 3, we're gonna say what we gave it on the count of 3. All right. 1, 2, 3. 3.4.
3.
Oh! I went above mediocre. I wrote 3.4 down before I wrote down a couple of the other jokes, to be completely honest with you. But when I say 3.4, it doesn't mean I didn't like it. I loved it.
Go ahead, second guess yourself since I was way higher.
You're doing that to me. I'm about to give it a 4. I'm this close to jumping it up to a 4. I'm about to go up 0.6 and give it a 4. You know what? It just happened. I'm doing up 0.6. I'm giving it a 4. It was that good, though. I laughed more during this than I've laughed at a lot of specials that we've done lately. And this dude is so Jim Gaffigan. And Jim Gaffigan, there have been some specials that don't make me laugh nearly as this dude made me laugh all the way through. He's got the funny voices throughout. He gets way animated at certain times and then pulls it back in. He did. It was good. It was good.
Brian Regan's fantastic. I was really excited about this one because he's one of the best ever, maybe. I mean, and hearing other comedians talk about like having so much reverence for him, like as one of the top guys. Like I've heard guys, Mark Norman, he's on a podcast like every day. So I watch a lot of that stuff. And he talks about Regan like up there with like Seinfeld and some of these other guys that are like, all time great. Um, there are, I'm trying to remember. Brian Regan had his own like variety show for a while. It's kind of like a sketch comedy show or whatever. And I'm trying to remember the name of it now. Of course, I can't think of it. But if you
I
go
watched
find,
an episode after I watched this special.
oh
It popped up an episode right off the bat
yeah,
on Netflix. So it's on Netflix.
yeah, and I've watched all of them, and I just pulled him up, and I can't find it now. But anyway, go to Netflix and look through the stuff that Brian. Almost all his specials are on there, but he has a show, and it was really funny too. I loved it, and he would do little, a few minutes of a few minute sets, kind of to open the show and in the middle of it and stuff like that, kind of like Chappelle would do. So anyway, really good stuff. Great choice by you on the Brian Regan. On the Rocks is what it's called. It's on Netflix. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Recommend it. So we've got to decide what we're gonna do for next week, and then we'll wrap it up. And
Yeah,
those are both up to me.
You're up. Yeah, you're up, man. What are we doing? What's the comedy segment?
So the comedy segment for next week, we're gonna do something. A guy who had a late night talk show for a while, and I never watched it. I think I may have watched an episode or two, and I just wasn't. I just never got into it, I guess. But he just came out with a new stand-up special. Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson had a late night talk show for a long time, and this one's called Tickle Fight. It was just released, and it's on
When
Netflix.
was it released?
I'm pretty sure, unless
Didn't we just do a Craig Ferguson? Like we did Craig. We've done a Craig Ferguson on this podcast, haven't we?
I don't think so. Am I forgetting something? I'm
No, maybe I just looked at. Maybe I just watched one.
who?
I love Craig Ferguson. Oh no, we have not done this. No, we have definitely not done this. Oh wait, Tickle Fight. This is 2017, but
You're
we
right,
did
it
not.
is
We've never
2017.
done this. Yeah, we've never
I
done
don't know
this.
why. I don't know why I thought this just came out. I don't know. Maybe it just popped up on my thing. It looked new.
It probably just popped up, which is good. But
It was from a few years ago. So, but I want to watch this because did you say no? You said you've not seen this, or you watched it on your own.
no, I've never seen this one. No.
Okay.
The last one I watched was not this one.
Okay. So we'll watch that. Craig Ferguson Tickle Fight. It's not new like I thought. So, but anyway, we'll make it this one. As a matter of fact, really quickly in a quick pinch, I kind of had another guy in mind, but I wasn't positive about it, and I didn't actually look it up. Okay. So yeah, there's a comedian who I did not know about until this past week. And unfortunately I found out about him because he died. And I didn't know anything about it. And then on, I want to say it was, I can't remember, somebody else's podcast, they mentioned him. Eric Myers, guy named Eric Myers. If you look at him, to be honest, it looks like he may have stumbled in off the street to an open mic and was out of his mind on some sort of drugs or something like that, and started doing comedy. But apparently this guy was in the comedy game for a long time and was pretty good. So on YouTube, it's just Eric Myers Live. If you look that up, it's about 49 minutes long, but that's how I found out. I heard that he was killed. Apparently,
Holy face!
yeah, he was apparently he was an alcoholic who was sober for a long time, and then during the pandemic relapsed and was, had a rough night and was walking down the highway or something like that and got hit by a car and killed in the last week. So
Jesus.
very sad story there. But and I did not know who this guy was. I don't recall seeing him before, but once I heard about him, whoever it was, whoever's podcast I was watching, I watch a million of them now, but mentioned his YouTube special on YouTube. And so get on there, Eric Myers, Erikmyers.
Is that
So I
what,
think
is that what we're doing? We're
I think
doing
we're
this
gonna do that
instead?
one. I think we're gonna do that one.
All right.
If this is a gentleman who just passed, maybe in his honor, we will give him a shot. Maybe this is a really super funny guy that we just didn't know about, and we'll have the pleasure of finding out about a new comedian that unfortunately we won't get to see new stuff from anymore. But
So I gotta critique a dead guy. A guy, not just a dead guy, a guy that just died, literally just died. So if this dude sucks, I'm gonna come on here and talk about how he sucks and he just died.
No, not that he sucks. His jokes,
his
on
comedy sucks.
On this comedy special, on this specific comedy special, we didn't see him at the Laugh Factory on a Tuesday night in the middle of January, 6 years ago. He could have been the funniest guy on the planet. This is his special that he released on YouTube, and that's what we're gonna critique. So yeah, yep, let's do it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be the guy. All right, I'm in. Let's go.
Look,
Eric Myers.
I'm with
I'm
you.
down.
If I don't like it, I'm gonna say, look, God bless the guy and God bless his family, and I God bless everybody, and we probably know have our fans of a lot of comedians that know him, might have been his friends and stuff like that. But I mean, we're just doing it. We're just critiquing his comedy special as two people who have never done comedy ourselves. If any comedian ever.
Oh, now hold on a second. We both have done comedy. We have done comedy live. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. You could go on YouTube and find both of our comedy specials live.
Okay, not professionally.
YouTube. Okay, none of us have done it professionally. No.
So if any real actual professional comedian ever watched this and saw us critiquing and having something not great to say about a comedian, they would just torch us, because they're like,
sure,
you idiots that have never done comedy, that have never stood on a stage.
No. But here's the deal. This is what I want. If you're a comedian out there and I've said something about your buddy who's a comedian, who was no good, I want you to get a hold of me so bad so you can come on this show.
We really should try to get some comedians on here. We really should.
Tear me up. I wish they would tear me up. I want somebody to tell me how stupid I am and how much I don't appreciate or something like that, so we can have a fun conversation. Because I feel like if there's going to be somebody that's going to do that and they're a comedian, then we can have a really fun and funny conversation together.
I think we could. I think we could get. I mean, it's up to you. I think we could get some comedians on here. I think
I'm going to
start with some local people.
Yeah,
but I mean I know a guy that did comedy for a little while who doesn't do it anymore, but like moved to New York to do it specifically, and that knows a bunch of comedians because he was like doing it with them for a little while. So I could probably get him on maybe, but they're local. I mean, we have a couple of local. By the way, it's driving me crazy. I wish I was a little more loose and not so anxious about everything, because I would go to the Funny Bone this week, tomorrow, for 3 days, 3 days. Mark Norman is here in Cincinnati. Mark
really?
Norman is here. Yep. The Funny Bone brings a lot of really good.
So why don't we go? Why can't you wear a mask? You're in your 90 days or whatever. Let's go get a mask and go. Let's go see Mark Norman.
Yeah, I really thought about it. I really thought about it. but I'm holding out a little bit longer. I'm going to get 2 needle stabs in my arm, and I'm going to start going to comedy shows.
All right. Well, we need to go we need to go to a show together. We've never been to a
We do.
comedy show together.
I know.
And we talk about comedy every week.
Yep. We definitely need to do that. We definitely do. And we will. So that's the comedy special, Eric Myers next week. And then Mount Rushmore, I'm going to go Mount Rushmore. And this is a guarantee that we will not have the same Mount Rushmore next week. We're going to do the Mount Rushmore of actors. So your top 4
Jesus Christ,
actors.
Are you
When I say
kidding me?
actors, actresses, whoever, actors. Yep.
Dude,
Gotta start thinking.
do you realize that this is like saying greatest athlete of all time? I don't care what sport. I don't care what sport, just any athlete of any sport.
Will Chamberlain.
That's ridiculous. This is going to be the most difficult one we've ever done. This is by far the most difficult one we've ever done.
But it's also
thank you for that.
It's also not because it's subjective. It's your own.
I can almost guarantee this is probably the best thing we could have done after the Sacramento Kings, where we both had the exact same 4 people. This is probably the best because I can almost guarantee that our 4 people will not be the same.
Exactly. They will not be. I guarantee it too.
I love it.
I have one in mind that's probably number 1 for me, and I'm gonna have to think about some other ones. But I have like 3 or 4 on my mind, but one for sure that we might have similar. We might have one.
So
we might
hold
have
on.
One or two. We might have one.
Hold on.
We need to establish ground rules.
I just have some questions.
Let's answer them.
When we say greatest actors of all time, this is our favorite actors of all time. I'm a comedian guy, right? Like I love comedies. It's almost always got a comedian in it. Are they the best actors? No. Okay. Now, are we talking about the best thespians? Like an actual true thespian?
Well, you have
like a
Ellen,
man.
You have Ellen. You got who else? You got Tig Notaro. You said thespian with a TH. I got
thespian. Sorry, thespian. I apologize. We're not talking about Remy Ma or.
I thought you said female comedians.
Oh. Or lesbian. No, thespian.
Yeah, no, I think it can be anything. I think we'll leave it wide open. It can be comedic actors. It can be dramatic actors. It can be, it can be like the Chappelle skit black actors with what's his name?
Oh my God!
I just started saying actors, and then what was his name from the Chappelle skit? The guy that's like super talented from Whose Line Is It Anyway? From Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh my gosh, the greatest! That's one of my all-time favorite Chappelle Show skits. Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady.
Oh my gosh, one of the best. He just starts.
Black actor,
he pulls out the AK. He pulls out the AK and just starts blowing people away. Dang on hookers all around.
Anybody who acts in a film, in a movie, counts.
Betty White, Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, and whoever played Hoss in Ponderosa. What's that movie called? Bonanza. There you go. That's my 4. Not even close to who my 4 would actually be. Those are just the oddest, weird 4 people I could think of. All right.
Have fun with these next week.
Oh my God, this is going to be so difficult. I don't know how to calculate this. Like, do we just go by Oscars?
There's no stats. There's no stats to look up. It's you got to think about your favorite movies and who were the characters that made those your favorite movies, or it can be 2 of those and 2 of the people that you think are the best skilled, talented actors. This one is open for interpretation.
Oh my God. All right. Sounds good. I'm in for that. Let's go. All right. So Eric Myers in greatest actors or actresses of
That's
all
fine.
time.
Yeah, that's it.
I love it. I don't even know that there's anything to go past that. Just on that note, don't forget to turn your headlights on.